Our Kathy Doyle is going to lead us in a prayer. Kathy? Here you go. Janet?
Thank you, Ray. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for enabling us to come together like this. We thank you for these wonderful candidates who have decided to give their time, money, and energy in efforts to serve our community. Bless them, keep them safe, keep them honest and respectful of others. Please guide us in this election time. Help us make wise choices. Help us make educated choices. And above all, we want to thank you for the freedom that we can actually gather here as conservatives and listen to people express their views freely. We pray this in Jesus' name, and God bless America. Amen.
Thank you, Kathy. Now we'll do the pledge led by Tom Tabor.
Active duty and retired.
Turn your microphone, they can't hear you.
Would all of the active duty and retired military kindly give a hand salute? Use what was given to you to show your support for our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tom. Now, in carrying on, just a few announcements. On June the 6th, which is the first Wednesday, will be our next meeting for Redmo. And that's going to have 2 treasurer candidates for the state and 3 candidates for commission number 5. Okay? I wanted to give some introductions. Bill Conrad's president of Redmo, and he's going to conduct the debate. Bill, stand up.
You're done.
Karen Conrad, she's back there checking people in. She's the treasurer. Amy Mariota is new executive director for Combat Veterans for Congress. And a couple of other guests. And then the butchers, Gary is the timer, Gary Butcher, and Janet Butcher is in the back helping out. All right, we have some special guests, Don and Kathy Gustafson. Don was our former state senator. Where is he? Stand up, Don. Sandy Masters is the founder of Mount Rose Republican Women. Sherry Powell is, among other things, the head of Ladies of Liberty. Kathy Doyle, which we just introduced, is also with RWR. And Amy is, which I introduced, Marietta is also with Combat Veterans, and she's also vice chairman of Turning Point in Northern Nevada. Turning Point Action. Kate Vineyard is Washoe Freedom Coalition and RWR. Cindy Martinez has a petition for you guys to sign. I'm not quite sure what's in it.
Girl sports.
Here, come up here real quickly. Cindy.
Great, we have for sunlight.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of President of Nevada Right to Life, Melissa Clement, and in support of the governor's initiative to protect girls' sports, I'm bringing the petition here. And if you've not yet signed it to amend the Constitution to get it on the ballot, I have the petitions, and I'd be grateful if you would sign it. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. And with that in mind, we're almost really on time. We also have some candidates. Troy Regas, where is he? Troy Regas is running for County Commission 2. 3, I'm sorry. And we have the 2 candidates for 2, which will be introduced by Tom. And I think I saw Tammy Stills come in running for number 3, and Kathy Wyarte for 5, the 2 of you. Have I missed anybody? Hold on.
You got everybody. Anybody else out there? I know we got important people. Everyone's important.
That's right. Anyway, June the 3rd and first Friday this coming month is at Engine 8 and Sparks. Engine 8 by the theaters in Victorian Square. With that in mind, I'll turn it over for Bill before he turns it over to Tom Tabor.
Ray, you want to take this now? You take Tom. Ray, take this.
No, leave it.
No, just take it because that's. Hey, I'm Bill Conrad, president of Red Move, and we've been doing this, Ray and I, for over 12 years. He says 14, but actually it's 12. We've been.
Way too damn long.
So we've had debates over the years. Some have been really good and really worked out well. The governor's debate. And one of the frustrating things is the candidates won't show up. In the governor's debate, 11 of 12 showed up. And there's a consulting company down in Las Vegas that tells their candidates not to show up to our debates. And we've been told that firsthand. I just wanted to put that out. So maybe in the next cycle, we can all get together with Central Committee and say, if you're going to endorse, let's work together and have a debate that's recorded and have the candidates show up and let you, the members of the Central Committee and others, make the decision. That said, I want to talk about the debate today and the town hall. The first one is the town hall. And now if it was based on endorsement, it would have been a debate, but it's a town hall because that'll allow you to ask questions, a little less going back and forth. But we do ask for clarity, contrast, and accountability with each of the candidates, that they stay in time, and so the voters know exactly where each candidate stands when we're done, and you'll be able to watch this. Also, we have a multitude of YouTube channels because during COVID, we had 1 and 2 strikes on almost every channel. So you get 3 strikes, they take everything down. This one is going to be on the Conrad report, which I guard closely. And I don't think there's anything crazy you can say out there, but just watch what you do say if you think it's like a strike, which it shouldn't be. And it'll be live streamed, so people will be able to ask questions. And we're recording right now. And I want to introduce Tom Tabor as the moderator. Gary is also going to be doing the timing, and I appreciate their support, their questions. And to all the candidates, finally, no matter where you are, I appreciate you running out there. I know how hard it is. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Tom.
Thank you, Bill. Gary, how about pushing your mic on so people understand the timing?
Candidates need to come up.
Since you are our timer and you have the big gavel.
For the town hall, we will have 6 minutes to let the candidates introduce themselves. After that, Tom will have some questions. And then the candidates will have a minute to answer his questions. After that, we will open it up to the audience. And we just simply ask that you guys ask your questions as quickly as possible. I will gavel you out after 60 seconds. So you know when the time is up.
Are you talking about the candidates?
No, the audience on their questions.
Okay.
And then at the end, we will give them another 90 seconds for their closing statements. Huh? 6, yes. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, to your left is John Killoran. John, welcome. To your right is Mike Clark. Welcome, Mike. Each of these gentlemen will have 6 minutes for their personal discussion about themselves and what's going on with why they're running for Commission District number 2. So Mike is the incumbent, so challenger, lead off.
Let me add one more thing. At 5 minutes, I'll give you this. At 6 minutes, I'll hit the gavel.
There we go, hot mic there. I'm used to those from my TV background. Thank you very much, Gary. Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. I get a rare occurrence here. Earlier, I was told a couple days ago we'd get a minute and a half to endorse or talk about our campaign. So to get 6 minutes reminds me of my old sports broadcasting days where we went on and on and on. My name is John Killoran. I'm a 46-year Reno resident. 28 of those years, the last 28 spent in the very northern section of District 2, a district that goes from where I live near Rattlesnake Mountain down to the Carson Valley line, all the way through Wahoe Valley. Spent 22 years as a broadcaster here. I was on sports broadcasting for the 1990s, and then I went off air at Channel 4 and became the news director there for 8 years. Over those 8 years, we worked with a lot of great people. One of the things I am most proud of during that time is that we worked hard to be accurate and give facts and make sure that we were accurate before we were first. Because of that policy, we were never litigated against in those 8 years, and there are not a lot of media outlets that can talk that way over that kind of period of time. I left the broadcast industry in 2008 and joined an effort with our former Lieutenant Governor Brian Krolicki to try to bring the Olympic Winter Games to the region. We worked on that for quite a few years, but we transitioned through our policy and leadership to becoming a nonprofit sports event management company. And in doing so, we've brought a number of local elite events to the region and the state, including World Championships, Junior National Olympic Championships, other events and congresses that brought people from all over the world to the Reno-Tahoe region in the state of Nevada. Fast forward to the present. Last fall, I spoke with some great people that I've known over the decades here who thought it would be a good idea for me to run this position because they want real, responsible, common sense representation from their elected officials, and they feel they were not getting that currently in District 2. I did what I always do. I did my research, I did my due diligence, I spoke with my family, and the more I read and the more I thought and the more I thought about this, the more I thought it's exactly where I'm supposed to be. Right here, right now, ready to represent everybody here in not District 2 alone, but residents throughout Washoe County. And so I embarked on what I always would do, research, but the research is with you. From day one, this is not my first time here with Red Moves, nor has it been my first time with women's Republican groups, with the Washoe Freedom Coalition, with a number of different organizations, most recently the Great Basin Conservatives, because this isn't about just my viewpoint and what I think. Believe me, I've been here 46 years, I have thoughts. But when you represent, you have to represent the people who are in especially your district, and that's what I sought to do. So I've been knocking doors, I've been coming to these events, and I listen, because listening to people is what you want to do to get their viewpoints, what's important to them. And that's why when people ask me what my platform is, it is not my platform, it is our platform. When you serve on the commission in the people's house, because that's what the county commission chambers are, they are the people's house of Washoe County. You better represent the people. So when I sit here before you now and talk about some of my platform items, again, it's not because I think so, it's because a growing number of people I speak with think so. What are they interested in? Well, first and foremost, there's a transportation issue. If you've tried to go east on Interstate 80, you know what that's like. It's a gridlock here that just shouldn't exist, but it does, and there will be an extra lane attached in either way, but we have to look beyond that. We have to look to ring roads, and I sat with the Regional Transportation Commission last week, got a full briefing from them on their 25-year plan, on their thoughts about a ring road. There's been feasibility studies done because we have to do that, but we also have to find other ways of doing so, and that includes train travel. There is a feasibility study that now is being done to do that because we've got to get the glut and gridlock off of Interstate 80. In our own district, the Davis fire happened. How many people here were affected by the Davis fire where you live? Potentially evacuated more than once. I was speaking with folks in Arrow Creek and a number of the HOAs, and I attended a meeting last week of Fire Adaptive 431. This brings together HOAs in the area, concerned citizens, all of the Truckee Meadows Fire and Rescue, Reno Fire, and all of those agencies and entities that try to get you ready so that when, not if, but when a fire happens, you have to be ready to be prepared. What happened with the Davis fire was almost a disaster here, if not the winds and the great firefighters did what they did. There is also one other thing that I've been talked about, and this comes from the conservatives here of the Republican Party. They are very disturbed at what's gone on with the Washoe County Public Library Board and how it is skewed in one direction with its membership, the 5-member board, which are appointed by the county commissioners. And during the course of this town hall, I'm going to speak to the fact that my opponent, the incumbent, is quite responsible for helping skew that in the wrong direction by being the swing vote on appointing a liberal in August of 2024 to that library board, skewing it farther in a liberal direction. I want to bring real, responsible, common sense representation to you so that your voice is not just heard, but is acted upon with action and not accountability.
Your turn, Mike, and you got 6 minutes.
Thanks, Tom. I want to talk about the whole race here. I think part of the problem that we have is this race should all be about resume and voting record, and it's turned into something far different from that. We'll talk about experience: 8 years as the assessor, 3.5 years as a county commissioner, managed 60 employees with the county as the county assessor. The county HR department says that I'm the only elected official on the county commission that they can remember and through their history that actually ran a county department. So experience matters. One of the best things about being the assessor is, and one of the most informative parts of that is every month for 48 months, spent 2 hours with all the other department heads. We spent time talking about what really took place and what takes place within the county and how the counties run. It was very, very informative. In fact, it was so informative that in 12/29 of 2025, This Is Reno said I was the only commissioner that was light years ahead of the other commissioners. And it was because I'd worked at the county and actually ran a county department and managed county employees and handled the budget and was in the budget process for 8 years as the assessor, and then moved on to the county commissioner. So there's a lot of institutional knowledge on how things are really done. We hear about my opponent talking about Highway 80 as if the county has any say whatsoever in what NDOT wants to do. NDOT controls the highways in the state, and more importantly, Clark County controls NDOT. That's where all the population is. That's where the money comes from. And Clark County gets everything first. So if and when they decide to build something on Highway 80, none of us will probably be alive. So just think about it that way. Let that sink in for a second. Okay. So experience matters. I've been through 3 general elections, 3 primary elections. Again, I started this conversation with the fact that this should be about resume and voting record and that type of thing, but it's morphed into something different. We've had a couple of public comments from my opponent at the county commission meeting. He charges up there, makes outrageous statements, only to be debunked by the mayor of Reno, only to be debunked by a law firm that you folks all own the law firm. Did you know you owned a law firm here in the county? Yeah, you do. It's called the district attorney's office, and you pay for them. You pay for their training. You pay for their salary. You pay for everything about them. And when the district attorney, my attorney, and the county's attorney, and the citizen's attorney says something, and I kind of go along with what my attorney says, but my opponent didn't think that was a good idea. He thought he should run up there and bang the podium and talk about something entirely different, trying to change the narrative. The same with the city of Reno. Everybody that lives in the city of Reno, you pay higher property tax than the county residents. I made a comment about 11 minutes and 14 seconds or whatever he said on his report about that, about the mismanagement of the city of Reno, okay? The mismanagement of the city of Reno. Somebody makes over $300,000 a year, and their job is to supervise the Reno Police Department, and they didn't do their job. That was my message. I wasn't calling out the sheriff. I was calling out mismanagement. Not only did I call out mismanagement at the county commission meeting, I went to the city of Reno's city council meeting, and my 3 minutes of public comment said the exact same thing, or the sentiments that I'm sharing with you now. We've got so many things that are not happening properly here in the county. I got an endorsement yesterday from the county treasurer. I got an endorsement from the firefighters union. I got an endorsement from the assessor. The assessor tells us, him, not me, just reporting it to you, that we've got more money coming in, more assessed value than the county's ever had since 1861 till now. And it's been going on the last number of years. The treasurer has invested more money and made more money, more return on investment than they've ever had in the history of the county. That's happening right now. You pay the highest sales tax in the state. You pay the highest gas tax in the state. And the county's still broke. The city of Reno is broke. The city of Sparks is broke. The school district is broke. And the fire district is broke. You need to ask yourself, what is really happening? When I asked the former county manager what was happening, he said, we're spending more than we're taking in. Can you imagine that? Who can't figure that out? Who needs to get a $300,000 or $400,000 a year job to figure that out? When you spend more than you're taking in, that's the problem. Mismanagement, problems in the courthouses, problems in the police department, problems all over this county. I'm ready to go to work and continue working on this, and I'm up to speed. I'm not here to be trained on the job. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Well, since we started with John on the introductions, Mike, is Washoe County overbuilt?
Well, certainly the roads aren't overbuilt.
I'm sorry, sir?
I said, certainly the roads aren't overbuilt. The infrastructure is not overbuilt. So that's a problem. Overbuilt in relationship to what? In relationship to law enforcement, public safety, fire, roads, sewer. Yeah, we don't have those in place, I'll tell you that. We're deficient in all of those. We have probably the same number of police in the city of Reno that they had 20 years ago. We probably have the same number of sheriffs that we had 20 to 25 years ago in the county. But we all know the county's grown. All you have to do is drive around here in the afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock, and you'll see the congestion everywhere. So the population's increased, and the services, the essential services, have not been kept up with that.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. John.
Thank you for the question. You know, certainly Reno, I've been here 46 years, Washoe County has grown largely. But there is smart development, and we have to be smart about how we choose and where we put development. There is a problem with roads, and I want to go back to something that the commissioner mischaracterized. First off, Interstate 80 does have an approved project to go online starting next year, hopefully in our lifetimes, Mike. I'm planning on living a lot longer. And that would increase highway capacity. However, what I was talking about was a southeast and northeast connector road that would be very much useful in taking traffic off there as well as train travel. I know this because I worked with and had a briefing from the RTC just last week on what those plans are and how they're trying to fund them, which the commissioner would have known if he had taken the briefing. He was the only one of 4 commissions apparently who only wanted the documentation, didn't want to sit with the RTC. So when he speaks of things that are transportation, it is not as educated as he should be.
John, should the Washoe County voter registrar be an elected official, and why? Yes or no?
I would like to see that. That is the case in a lot of other jurisdictions around the country. I think then the people have a hand because I've heard concerns from especially conservative Republicans I've been speaking with about election integrity. So I'm not speaking specifically of the person in the position now, but just in general as your question answered. I think it would be a great idea to look at, to have the registrar of voters an elected individual. It goes along with other things. I'm very much in favor of the Save America Act that the president is trying to put forward. I'd like to see and advocate for the abolishment of the universal mail-in ballot that is going out to everybody, because if nothing else, the printing costs, folks, there are 50% of us that vote in person minimum. Well, think of the costs we'd save and put to other important things if we just save those printing costs. There are things within the registrar of voters right now that I think we can still shore up with election integrity, but having an elected ROV, I think, would be a very good situation.
Thank you, John. Mike?
You know, I'm old school. I'm glad you brought this up. I've voted in every election since 1971. I still have my original registration paperwork. Valuable piece of paper to me. Reminds me that I've never missed an election. I've never missed a vote. So I brought along a couple of, another thing that I've had, a t-shirt for about 45 years that I used to wear on when we had election day, not election month. It says, shut up, vote or shut up, okay? I get tired of people that don't vote and want to complain about what's taking place. So I'm all about voting. I think we should have one election day. I think we shouldn't have these ballot boxes around town. And I think that we should go back to the reality of registration, showing your ID, doing whatever you have to do when you go to the airport or anywhere else. And that's been a problem. In this particular county, Washoe County, in the last election 2 years ago, they had 43,000 ballots that were returned.
Thank you, Mike.
Undeliverable.
Thank you. We also, we keep talking about transportation problems. And in 2027, there's already been federal money set aside from USA Parkway to Sparks to widen the I-80. We're also talking about train, and it's called the first publicly financed rail transit. I'm just wondering, is that a good way to do that? That is, put in the train with public money, which means it comes from taxes and so forth. And is that a precursor to the rail pack renal corridor proposals, which means that we go from border town to Minden-Gardnerville and from Verdi to US Parkway to Fernley and Fallon? That's a proposal. Mike?
I'm not a traffic engineer. You know, coming up with these kind of questions that are so, they're just so
esoteric.
It's a kind of a question as if we had any control over it. I don't have a magic wand. I would do that in a heartbeat if I had a magic wand, but that isn't how it works around here. And people have to understand that. We have a very divided commission here. It's a 3-2 vote, just about every major issue in the county. 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. And so that we have to take in reality versus what we want to think we want to do. We paid some of the highest gas taxes in the nation here and also in the state. And we get things like building $2, $3, $4 million bus stops. Okay, how many people? The buses are not full. They're very few times that they're even halfway full. And we spend all this money on this type of transportation that doesn't seem to be used by the public. Go ahead.
Mike, there's a large controversy about data centers. And both the County Planning Commission and the City Planning Commission have been up and down all over the place on that. Are data centers going to be a plus for Washoe County?
This is a national problem, the data centers popping up everywhere in rural areas, sucking the water, lots of things happening there. But what this area really needs is a good working plan that would include all the municipalities, the county, the city of Sparks, the city of Reno. We've got 3 different municipalities doing 3 different things in a small region. This is a small, small population. We've got 500,000 roughly people here, but we've got 3 different leaderships taking this 3 different ways. So the first step that we need to have is the 3 municipalities getting together and having some rules and regulations and a thought process that makes sense for everyone.
John?
Yeah, on this one, I agree that there needs to be plans in place before we're reacting. It's about being proactive. When I describe myself on my palm cards to people, it's about being proactive, accessible, accountable, and authentic. This is one we need to be proactive on before we start building more data centers and then try to react. So I firmly am for that, and I've heard the county commissioners, some of the others who have talked about that most recently. But I want to go back on something that the commissioner talked about. I did publicly comment last week when he failed to disclose during a public hearing that the appellants in the case, the couple, were his highest financial contributors to his current political campaign. All I said was disclose, and all the district attorney said was that he was legally within his right. Ethically, he was not. How can you not disclose your largest financial contributor before voting? And they also held a fundraiser for him. You can go to my Facebook page, that is John Killoran for Washoe County. We have posted the entirety unedited of my comments and the district attorney's comments. He was not fully exonerated. Ethically, he was wrong.
Thank you, John. Now, John, my last question before we ask folks who wish to come up and ask the 2 of you questions. By the way, microphone there in front of Ray. If you wish to speak with these gentlemen, ask them a question. When we finish with this question, if you come up and turn on that mic, and we'll have you ask the gentleman questions. How do you define transparency, trust, and truth?
Well, isn't that perfect timing? I think in a way I just did on the negative side of it. I have lived a life and built professional careers in 2 different walks of professional life that every day and in every way, I put my integrity, my ethics on the line. I don't like using the word transparency. It's become a political cliche buzzword. Everybody uses it, they say it, but you gotta live it. You either live it or you don't. And last Tuesday, a week ago, Commissioner Clark, in my opinion, did not. And I think anybody I saw heads nod when I just said what I said. The bottom line is you can't use ethics and transparency as a buzz phrase. You have to use them to the heart, the head, and through your actions. And oh, by the way, do you think it's a really good thing to say that somebody said and then you promote it, that you're light years ahead of the other commissioners? No wonder he can't get anybody to vote with him on anything he wants to do.
Thank you. Mike.
So I'll answer the question, but I'll also rebut a couple of the comments. the folks that made a political contribution to my campaign and the vote had nothing to do with the vote. The vote was already approved by the 100% unanimously by the Board of Adjustments. All the 8 or 9 neighbors who could see the wall that they built in the backyard all agreed with it. It was also voted unanimously by the other commissioners. So if he's alluding to the fact that there was some bribery or there was something that caused me to vote with these people, absolutely wrong. Next, they are not the largest contributor to my campaign. I have an equal amount of money donated, which didn't come in the correct time frame, but will be on the next campaign contributions report from the firefighters. The firefighters union have supported me, and they didn't buy my votes either. I'm here about public service and public safety and trying to help the public with that concern. We've had fires here. There's been allegations that I wasn't around. I've got witnesses, phone records, anything you wanted to say about me, I can debunk with facts. So transparency, I believe in public records and voting records.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, do any of you have any questions? If you would state your name when you come up,
There you go.
so the people
Thank you.
actually have a name to
I'm Peggy
refer
Hegler.
to.
I'm Peggy Hegler. Mike, I have a question for you, but a comment. You've talked about accountability to the people you listen. You say you listen and you want to represent us. I went to a South Reno town hall in November that showed. You called the meeting. We made our time to go and you didn't show up. And I had a question at that meeting. Your representative, Nicole Harris, took my question and emailed you, copied it to me, and you didn't respond. So I emailed Nicole again, and I said, I haven't heard back. So she said, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll let it go. I'll remind Mike. And I still didn't get a response. So the fact that you want to listen to the people, my question to you is, how do we get you to listen to you? What's your criteria? What are your requirements of us to qualify for your response?
Well, if you'll send me an email, I'll be happy to address what your questions were.
Oh, yeah,
All right?
that's real funny.
Well, again, life goes on, and I had a commitment that I had to go to, and I couldn't get out, and I called and made people aware that I would not be at that meeting, and that was relayed. I'm sorry that you came out for that.
At the meeting, we gave our emails, and we could have at least had an apology of, hi, thanks you for coming. I'm sorry I wasn't there. We got nothing from you. No
Okay.
feedback at all.
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy.
My name is Alan Munson, and I just want to say that I appreciate both of you. And in the future, whoever is in the office, I'm going to be working with you or talking to you. So I just say that. So, it's a public service job, and I have only God knows who's going to be there, but you're both good men, in my opinion. My question is, and my concern is, how you both would deal with the CARES campus. I've been hearing things, I don't know if Paul White, I believe, that there's a lot of people, there's a couple of problems. One, a lot of people, more than half probably aren't even residents of Washoe County. Two, there's not a very good checking in on, the drugs and the things that are going on in the care. At least this is what I heard. Because we're not allowed to see it personally. But I just have some concerns about all the amount of money that's being spent, and what I hear that there isn't really good, there's almost minimal success. And so and then I'll shut up. It just seems to me if somebody was there, they should have a time-limited time, and they show that, well, okay, I'm going to try to do something about my life. I'm not just going to use this for food and a place to sleep. So anyways, I would love to hear both of your responses. And again, I thank you both for running.
Since you're in office currently dealing with it, I'll let you take that first.
Sure, be happy to. I've never been a fan of the CARES campus. The CARES campus has cost the county over $300 million. $300 million. We see no improvement whatsoever. The former county manager, who's no longer there, ran that CARES campus. It was nobody understands what's taking place there. It's an absolute mess. Again, we've got a 3-2 board, voting board. Every time somebody wants to do something that costs more money, they do it. There's no outcomes. There's no results. They just had to fire or ask her to resign the person who ran it. I am the chairman of the Community Homeless Advisory Board, just became the chair of that. And I've got Paul White coming in to make a presentation to do something different than what we've been doing. You can't continue doing the same thing and same results and expect anything to get any better. So we definitely need a change at the CARES campus.
Did you want to answer?
Oh, yeah, please. I'm also looking forward to Paul's presentation next week. I just toured the CARES campus last week. I did find it to be clean, orderly, security around, and staff around. But I did go with an advocate I've known for decades who himself was homeless and addicted at time, but has rekindled his life in a positive way and now is an advocate. He doesn't directly work for the CARES campus, which is why I wanted him to be the one to take me through there. One of the things that we talked about that is not a part of the program there, and it speaks, Alan, to some of what you talked about, is treatment. You've got to have a treatment component if you're going to get these folks from homelessness, addiction, mental health issues. You have to have that. There are some great programs, though, that are there. There was a presentation made to the county commission recently by Chief Judge Egan Walker on the competency court that has gotten people into programs, that has reduced the wait time to get their competency, that has saved taxpayers $10 million since 2023. We need to keep working with the CARES campus is now here to stay. You can't make it go away. We need to work with the public-private partnerships to make it and evolve it into a better entity.
Thank you. Anybody else want to spring forth?
So this will be the last question. Tom.
Pardon?
Last question on timing. We good?
Okay.
We're going to break for a cake. So we're going to break.
One more.
A few more questions.
Two
So
more.
we're going to break for a cake after this for 15 minutes. So.
We'd rather hear him talk than have a cake. No, we don't want cake.
We want our cake and eat it too. Alan Munson, for the record, no, I mean Janet Butcher for the record. I would like to know what your thoughts are on the automatic renewal of people on committees. There have been a back and forth from the chairman. She's kind of flipped, so I would like to know what your thoughts are on just automatically assigning someone who comes up for a volunteer position and about them being automatically just plopped right in there, no notification to the public, what have you. Thank you.
John?
Can I ask, Janet, can you clarify that, please? Are you talking about appointments that the county commissioners make to the various committees?
The volunteers, yes. The committees. You didn't know that? Sorry.
Thanks, Janet. I would be very, very supportive of every time a term ends that that person has to come back before the commission, if that is the process, and for the commission to reconsider them for another term. I don't believe there should be automatic renewals for committees, for members of committees. Volunteers are fantastic. I'll give you the Senior Services Advisory Board, for instance. Great people that do great work towards trying to make lives better for seniors in our community. But even there, where there are great people on that one, or that whether it's the library board, look at the library board. That's where conservatives have a problem. It's a 4-to-1 skewer right now of liberal versus the only conservative on it. And in August of 2024, this man was the Republican swing vote that put the latest liberal on that library board. So now we have to wait. There's 2 library board commission appointments that are coming up. I sure wish it's a point after I'm elected, because I'd do a better job of making that a better balance of conservative versus liberal than the commissioner has with his voting record.
Mike?
Thank you. We've got a member of the library board here, and if she had an opportunity to speak, I think she would tell the real story. But you can have any opinion you like, sir. That being said, I'm on the record at least 15 times or more. Each and every time the county wants to reappoint people, I don't think it's a good idea. I think each and every time there's an appointment, we should look for other volunteers, get fresh ideas, fresh ways of doing things, and come up with something. And this current board that I'm on the losing side most of the time loves to reappoint people, because when they get their certain pals on the committees, that's who they want to keep in. And so they constantly reappoint people. I'm opposed to that, and I'm on the record numerous times saying that.
This is for Commissioner Clark, and I just want to start by saying this is not personal. This is just something that I feel needs to be addressed. I am on the Senior Advisory Board. I was until recently vice chair, and through the fall months, I was acting chair. We recently, and I just want to clarify that, Senior Advisory Board is voluntary. It's seniors who volunteer who have no power to make decisions. So we have heard Commissioner Clark complain often about the food at the senior center. Last fall, in October, Commissioner Clark reamed each and every member of this volunteer senior advisory board for not getting better food for our seniors. We don't have that control. Commissioner Clark has that control. And after he berated each and every member of the senior advisory board, we were never given an apology for the way that he treated us. He told us that we were not in the community. We did not participate in the community.
Excuse me, Denise.
This
do
doesn't
you have
sound like a
for
question.
them?
So, Commissioner Clark, what is your plan to improve the food at the senior advisory or at the senior center on 9th Street when Senior Advisory Board has no control over the price and the commissioner does? What can you do to improve the food and the budget?
Thank you for the question, and let's fully disclose that I appointed you to that board. You may not have known that, but the commissioner at the time came to me
I
and
did
said,
know that, actually, Commissioner
didn't want
Clark.
you on. So I moved heaven and earth to get you on the board. But let's go back to your position right now. The county put out for, and I need more time on this if you want a correct answer, so I'm going to go as long as it takes. The county put out a bid supposedly for lunches there, and only took one bidder. So that's like having an auction. No, I was there. I
That
don't know.
was not
Let me
true. There
finish.
was only one bid that came
I didn't
in.
interrupt you. Would you let me finish? So
Tell the facts as they
I'm
are,
going to tell the
Commissioner
facts.
Clark.
the food is horrible for the seniors. It's garbage. You wouldn't eat it. The jail food is better. They went and sampled the food. They wouldn't let anybody make a public comment at their meeting about it. And so, in my opinion, they were covering for the county instead of advocating for the seniors. And I'm not going to back down. If somebody doesn't advocate for seniors, they're in the wrong. The food is garbage. Catholic Charities has better food. The CARES campus has better food. And the jail has better food.
Excuse me, Mike. I'm sorry. We're running out of that wonderful thing. Time. John.
I'd like to comment on this because Commissioner Clark, the only thing that you have done for upwards of close to 2 years is complain about the senior food on your Facebook page repeatedly. You've had time to do something about this, except that I attended a recent Senior Citizens Advisory Board and found that the contract is for 3 years. What you voted for it, I believe, when it was just the one contract. Did you raise any concerns then? The bottom line is all you do is go on your Facebook page or stand here and all you do is complain and how things are wrong. And you just said something that really resonated with me. We need people on committees. You're for not only auto renewal, but changing the mind and fresh ideas. Well, guess what? The same is true for commission seats. It's time for fresh ideas. It's time for fresh leadership. It's time for fresh representation because you have sat here for all this time and I haven't heard one thing that you talked about accomplishing anything in your first term in office. Why do you deserve a second one?
Thank you, John. Gentlemen, each of you will have 2 minutes and 30 seconds for closing. Mike?
Thank you. So we'll talk about the accomplishments. The accomplishments just wrapped up this last weekend. Green waste removal. I voted to not approve the fire district's budget because they tried to cut out green waste. I'm trying to have public entities protect the citizens and have the green waste on the budget, and it became a fact. That happened. I've stood up for people all over the county. Every time somebody has red tape that need to be cut, they contact me. We've fixed things. We've had a wall that the county owns. For 19 years, the wall was falling down up in the area up in north of, I can't remember the name right now, out in the valleys there. And the whole area needed to be fixed. Took me 19 years, took me 6 months to fix that. We had the assessor's office. We had the largest settlement that the county had ever had in the history of the county. $100 million where the property owners up in Incline Village were overassessed. It was 14 years in the making. It was costing the county taxpayers, you folks, $7,000 a day in interest. We got that settled and that thing got resolved. There's been numerous things that have been fixed with the county, and that's why I deserve another term. Thank you.
This particular campaign couldn't be more stark. He just spoke of things that were kind of radically different because they were by the entire commission. I haven't heard one initiative, one plan, anything that he has put forth that is an initiative that he wants to put forth. So here are mine. Emergency management planning during wildfires, and he can say whatever he wants. He admitted it on his Facebook page. When the Davis fire happened, he sat at home in the dark in his Wahoe Valley area house for 72 hours. You know what happens? You go somewhere, you're a commissioner, you're not just a resident. We've had situations in the past where I have, just as a citizen, gone to evacuation centers, made sure food was available, made sure that they had supplies, do something. You know, we are having some troubled times when we have wildfires. We have troubled times when we're dealing with budget matters and everything. Do you want a representative who is going to run toward you and the problem? Or do you want one who's just going to be a bandy rooster, crow a lot, and actually get nothing done? I am very passionate about making sure we are safe. I was endorsed by the Public Safety Alliance. That is all of law enforcement statewide, including the Sheriff's Deputies Association. Part of the reason, guess what? We talked about no-shows earlier. They had meetings scheduled to him. He no-showed law enforcement, the men and women who wear the badge. There's also a couple things I want to talk about other than that. The library board I mentioned. On his Facebook page 2 years ago, he endorsed a progressive liberal activist for a Reno City Council position. How Republican is that? People have questioned my being a Republican or being a rhino. How is it that a Republican does that, endorses liberal left folks? Come on, that just isn't supposed to be. I've been talked about that I have no experience. He brought it up today, his voting record. You know who else had no experience when they got elected to office? Donald Trump. Talk about that now, 2 terms later. The bottom line is I am primed and ready to represent you. I will listen. I will return calls. I will be very available to people. Apparently, the commissioner only believes that is something he says and not something he practices. I will do everything I can to make Washoe County a better place for all of us. Thank you very, very much for being here. Tom, Gary, thank you. Ray, Bill, thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Excuse me, but I have been directed by the directors of the whole thing here that there's 2 more questions from the audience.
A bonus round?
A bonus round.
All right, let's do a bonus round.
Turn it on, Paul. Turn it on.
Oh, okay. It's the elephant in the room. For the first time, the Central Committee has changed their guidelines to allow pre-primary endorsements. That's never happened. You know, we've got that happened. And you guys both got blindsided. They railroaded the Central Committee into not endorsing either one of you guys without an opportunity, without an opportunity
Sir,
for either one.
Excuse me, sir. You can have an opportunity to chat with him or with other people, but vulgarity is not permitted in this meeting. Thank you.
My point is that neither one of you had the opportunity to speak in your own defense. They waited till you're out of the room, did it behind your back. You know, this is kind of dirty pool as far as I'm concerned. So I want to give you guys a chance to address that. Now we don't have anybody endorsed by the party for this very important county commission seat. You know, we could wind up like the city council with nobody. So please speak in your own defense, both of you.
That was it. That was a good question, Paul.
I'll take that first. I did get the opportunity to present as I've presented to other entities, like I said earlier, the Republican women's groups, the Red Moves, the Washoe Freedom Coalition, and others, to present my case as to why I felt I was the best candidate for this position. I gave the respect to the Washoe County GOP, met and presented, but what they do with their endorsements is the Central Committee and the leadership's purview. I don't control it. I don't have anything to say really about it in the sense that I am a lifelong Republican. I'm proud to be. Neither one of us got endorsed, so I assume that's, I don't know if I'd call it an even playing field. I think maybe if I was the incumbent, I'd be more worried about that than if I were the challenger.
Mike.
I didn't get an opportunity to address the Central Committee. I think this is one of the most un-American things ever. We make allegations, people bring up things that happened 2 years ago. He brings it up today about what took place and who I endorsed and who I may have endorsed. That isn't what really took place. We had a situation where somebody was a very liberal candidate for a seat on the Reno City Council. Robert Beatles himself, couldn't be more Republican and more conservative, paid for her recount. Oh, I think it was $17,000 or $18,000. I was in a county commission meeting and I was advocating for fair elections. When somebody loses by 7 votes and we're questioning why, if we have any election integrity, and we also have 45,000 undeliverable votes, inaccurate rolls. I was always advocating accurate tax rolls, accurate assessor rolls, accurate voter rolls. If you don't have accurate voter rolls, you have nothing. We have a registrar of voters
Excuse me, Mike.
in the room from Carson City, and he'll back me up on that.
Thank you, Mike. Patty?
Hi. This question is for Commissioner Clark. I apologize, I'm going to bring up something from the past. In 2021, there was a temporary restraining order issued against you for about 13 months from a city employee for workplace harassment. So your numerous appeals were denied. So as a female, how do your female constituents know that you've learned from that lesson and that you aren't going to make, that's okay.
The lesson I learned was what a total setup it was when the DA's office signed this and got a restraining order against me. Mr. Lucy knew I was going to run against him, and he tried to smear me. And at the end of the day, the voters spoke. The voters all knew about it, and the voters vindicated my position. So what did I learn about that? I learned that now I'm the boss, one of the 5 bosses, of the person who allegedly got a restraining order against me. It's ridiculous. This was all political theater. There was no workplace harassment. I passed out a package of information that was 100% public records.
Did you or did you not send that from someone else's name? Isn't that pretty misleading?
No, I
Excuse me,
didn't. I
but
sent
you
it
are
out.
taking time
Yeah,
from his
yeah,
answer.
Yeah. So that isn't the case. Okay. So, but thanks for asking.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now, I believe that Ray is going to tell us that we have a break forthcoming. But what I wanted to make sure that you know that both of these gentlemen are going to be here for a little while afterwards. If you have questions on them, take advantage of this opportunity to speak with them. Please. John, Mike, thank you very much for putting yourselves before the public.
Thank you.
Before we get to the next session, which is a debate, a couple of people I wanted to introduce that got here a little late. Nicole Klitsky, their public administrator. Nicole, stand up, our public administrator. And Nicole, or stay around. Hold on. There's another session, the actual debate.
Folks, while you eat your dessert for the next debate, Drew Ribar is here. Rick Harvey, are you here?
Hold on, Bill. Hold on.
Is Rick Harvey
Hold
here?
on, I have one more. There's one more person that came in. Deanna Jack. If you would stand up, she's the only conservative on the school board. Not yet, no. Yeah, twice. All right, before we go on, we're doing something now. I know some of you have already kind of got ahead of the game, but yeah, can I have your attention? We're starting a thing. Who had birthdays in May? All right. We bought cakes. We're going to do it every month for the birthday. So go get your cake, and at 1 o'clock, we'll start our debate. Go get your cake. Grab your cake and please be seated. Bill, can I see you? Grab your cake and please be seated. We're ready to start. Bill, he promised he was going to be here.
Say that.
Huh?
Say that. He promised.
I
tried to call him yesterday.
I don't have his phone number.
Rick Hart, we need to have phone numbers.
I thought I did. Hello. Now, everybody please grab your cake and have a seat. The next session will be for District Assembly 40. Please take your seat. And while we're doing it, there is one other candidate that unfortunately got pneumonia. Can I have your attention, please? As a courtesy, please stop talking.
1, 2.
As there's one other candidate running for school board, which we need, Brooke Westlake, but she has pneumonia, couldn't be here. But Gianna, is she still here? Gianna Jack from the school board was here. Huh? Oh, she had to leave. Anyway, vote for Brooke Westlake. She's very conservative. With that in mind, we're going to start, but there's one other candidate for the debate. We don't know, maybe got sick, something, that's not here. Rich Garvey, but Bill's going to take this part.
So what we're going to do, since we're going to modify it, Rich Garvey was supposed to be here. It's supposed to be a debate. The difference in a debate and a town hall is they have 30 seconds to reply back and forth to each other. Candidates, we had one thing happen this cycle. We had candidates demanding certain things. We need a standard debate process, and if the candidates don't show up, you guys need to know that the candidates aren't showing up. For one reason or the other, we need to have it way ahead of time. So we have just Drew here. I had about 9 questions. I'm only got 3 or 4, and then I'd like to invite the rest of the folks up to speak. I thought your questions from the audience were excellent at this last section. Without further ado, Amy, I'm going to have Amy read a statement from one of the candidates.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy, and I'm reading this on behalf of Julie Butler. Dear Mr. Roca and Red Move, please accept my apologies for being unable to join you in person today. Unfortunately, I am double booked and can't be in both places. I appreciate your understanding. I'm running to be your voice for Assembly District 40. I'm a proud Republican with a proven track record of making government more efficient. During my time at the Department of Public Safety, I closed the Highway Patrol's dispatch center near in Elko, and consolidated dispatch operations between Carson City and Las Vegas. This saved Nevadans approximately $2 million per year without compromising services. As director of the DMV, I rescued their IT modernization program and set it on its current path to success when previous leadership had failed. We placed a record number of services online, which continues to this day. We redesigned the DMV website, earning recognition from the Nevada Taxpayers Association for improving customer service. Nevada was the first DMV in the nation to reopen the commercial driver's license offices to the trucking industry when we were under the COVID lockdowns. This only happened because I pushed back against the Sisolak administration when others wouldn't. Your tax dollars matter. When it comes time to vote, I hope you will remember that I am the only candidate who has actually rooted out government waste and inefficiency. I will continue to do so as your Assemblywoman. I am endorsed by Governor Joe Lombardo, statewide law enforcement, firefighters, and the Nevada Firearms Coalition, and several others. However, the most meaningful endorsement will be yours, and I hope to earn your vote on June 9th. Sincerely, Julie Butler, candidate for Assembly District 40.
Thank you, Amy. And now, without further ado, Drew, would you give us a 90-second introduction?
Hi, my name's Drew.
A minute and 40 seconds.
A minute and 40 seconds.
That's what hurt.
My name's
Got
Drew.
it.
When does my time start?
As soon as you start.
Well, I'm just trying to figure it out. We keep talking. Anyways, my name is Drew Ribar. I'm running for Nevada Assembly District 40. And by the way, I've got a federal civil rights lawsuit against Julie Butler for arresting my employees because she made up fake laws running the DMV. She actually created me as a political candidate, so I appreciate her representative coming here, but she's being a little bit dishonest. The fact is, Julie Butler has said she will not debate me, and neither will the other two candidates, it appears. I'm the only candidate that's a businessman. I'm the only candidate that's run businesses, built businesses. I'm the only candidate that hasn't used your tax dollars to abuse you. I'm the only, well, there's one candidate in this race that made it so you had to make an appointment to go pay your taxes. I'll make it easy. I'll try to lower your taxes instead of having you have to make appointments and wait a month and a half to pay your taxes. I think that the government is full of fraud, waste, and abuse. And my goal in getting into office is to serve the people, to get rid of the fraud, get rid of the waste, get rid of the abuse as much as one man can, and make the government represent you instead of you serving the government. That's really what it's about for me. I wouldn't be here unless it was for corrupt government. Instead, I would be running my business and taking care of my family. But instead, the government got involved in my world. So here I am involved in their world. And that's why I'm running for Nevada Assembly District 40. Hi, Wes. I know a lot of you in this room. I've been coming to meetings for years, just like a lot of you in this room have been coming to meetings for years. So really, I just want to keep listening to you guys, the ones that go out and talk to people and try to make life better for your families and our future. Thank you.
So thank you, Drew. So the first question is going to be, if you win this seat, what are the top 2 bills or actions you will push through in the first 90 days? And how will you get the passed in a diverse legislation as a junior assemblyman?
Let's go with the junior assemblyman first. How would I get laws passed? Well, I've already done that in the past. I used to own A&A Towing. Did that for decades, and we had a problem a bunch of years ago. So I went around to all the other owners of all these other businesses with all these licenses that are very difficult to get from the government to tow cars. That whole system's kind of corrupt in itself, but that's a whole other discussion. But I went around to all these other business owners, and none of us could get along for 20 years. And I sat in their offices, and we formed the Nevada Towing Association, and I got laws passed with Senator Mo Dennis. So I worked across the aisle. What laws would I do? I've got a bill right now ready to go to ensure all government employees know the Constitution, and it requires constitutional training for government employees, because wouldn't it be cool if getting paid with our tax dollars, they served our Constitution at the same time? Another BDR is, if you guys know what Sierra Reflections is, I would push a bill to end Sierra Reflections. We don't want to build homes on top of contaminated mercury, because that's dumb.
Well, that was a good lead in there. So the next question is based on the following. Growth housing, Reno Sparks expansions are real pressures. Here's the question. Where should the line be drawn between state authority and local control, especially in housing, zoning, growth in Northern Nevada?
Sierra Reflections kind of demonstrates the problem with that. Where should the line be drawn? I think that property rights are number one paramount in our Nevada Constitution. That's part of Article 1, Section 1. And so number one, any laws or anything that we pass, we need to look at the Constitution and see how those laws are being affected, and are affecting people's constitutional rights. And we need to make sure we write laws that don't interfere with anybody's rights. As far as growth, I'm very, very pro-growth. I want lots of new single-family homes so people can go get married, go have kids, go raise the future generations, because I think we've destroyed that right now. But I also think we need a lot of common sense with what we're doing. In the average home, there's about $100,000 of soft costs from the government. I think if we eliminated those essential taxes, we could lower the price of a home by $100,000. We need to look at land use. A lot of that is federal. How do we get more federal land? I'm being asked to move on again.
So Nevadans talk a lot about fiscal responsibility. What is one specific program you would cut or reform, and what would you do with that extra money?
I've already got a BDR again for this, and it's the Nevada DMV again, because like I said, my competitor that used to be a Democrat, that was appointed by a Democrat, I'm just confused that she says she's a Republican now. But anyways, I would get rid of how the DMV currently functions. They operate on a $190 million a year budget to collect your taxes. Do we need to spend $190 million a year to collect your taxes? I think if we could take that money and divert it back into the counties and the municipalities, I think that would be a good thing, and that would reduce a lot of waste and abuse. HHS, DETR, all these other different state agencies that seem to have wandered from their path of serving the public and instead have become a regulatory bureaucracy that prevents the public from taking care of their families. We need to look at that and how to reform those and make sure that the government's serving the public.
So I have a follow-up question to that, water and growth. With Nevada's limited water supply, how do we balance economic growth with long-term stability?
Long-term stability, I was just talking to, I don't know if you guys know Clay Mitchell. He's a county commissioner up in Story County, and that discussion is going and ongoing. And I'm looking at nuclear power. They've got these small nuclear reactors they can move around and do all kinds of different things with. How do we get those into effect so that power isn't an issue anymore for us, that we solve the power issue? If we solve the power issue, we can solve the water issue. There's a lot of water right across the mountain from us, and if we build a pipe and desalinate it, that solves a lot of these problems. Those are some of the discussions that are ongoing. There's a lot of different factors in what you're asking right there.
So Drew, this is going to be my last question, and if anyone else has a question they'd like to offer, go sit next to Ray and start lining up. But before I ask this last question, this has been like a drinking out of a fire hose, because it was boom, boom, boom without the other candidate here. So the last one, I'd like to give you 2 or 3 minutes to finish this point, and then people ask questions and we'll have a closing statement. So what is a clear difference between you and your opponent that voters should care about, and why does it matter?
The difference between me and my opponents have created the government that we've got. My opponents, let me see, one of them's got a $10,000 ethics complaint, but this opponent retired from the government and they're collecting a pension, but while they were in government, they were breaking the rules with your money. Another one, like I said, ran the DMV. She literally created me. I'd be running my business happily if she hadn't interfered in my world and made up ad hoc fake rules. If any of you want to see any of these things that I'm making accusations of, I've got a very, very large social media following. I've got about 275,000 social media followers between Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all, whatever. So if you want to go look at me, it's either you can go look for Ribar for Nevada. That's mostly on Facebook, or the other one's Auditing Reno 911. So there's a lot of information out there about just the corruption in the government. I think we get a lot of bad people sitting in these seats that just don't have the public's best interest at heart when they do the things that they're out there doing. I mean, look at the Hollywood handouts. If any of you know what Hollywood handouts was, that was a bill in this last special session that we were going to give billions of dollars to Hollywood. I mean, we're Republicans in this room, right? What does Hollywood think of Republicans? But yet we had Republicans voting to give this money away. And then you go look at what Georgia did, because Georgia has done the same thing. And 19% of the money that Georgia did, guess what? 19% of the money Georgia got to keep. The other 81% left the state. But yet we're pushing this in Nevada. Why are we doing dumb things like this? This is like building houses on top of toxic mercury out in Sierra Reflections out in Wahoe Valley and Pleasant Valley. We need to stop the stupid, and we need common sense back.
So in the next legislation, that's a follow-up question. If there's anybody who wants to ask a question, please come up. But you just remind me of a follow-up question. I was just reading about this and listening. The Democrats are proposing, it's called the Works Bill. Inside that Works Bill, there's that same program that we just voted down inside the Works Bill for the Hollywood studios. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question, since you're advanced in social media, AI, things of that nature. What's going to happen if they build those studios and the new AI studios come in other places, other states that are competing against Nevada? For example, it's millions of dollars they want to give in credits for these studios that can be transferred. And these are big studios they're going to build. What's going to happen when AI takes over the Hollywood like it's starting to do right now? Hollywood is cratering in California.
In my personal opinion, like I said, I've got 275,000 people that follow my social media. This month alone, I've got over 9 million views. I think that people like me, individuals, and there's companies doing it too that are doing social media, and the whole industry of entertainment is changing. I don't know about all of you, but how often do you go to movie theaters and sit your butt down in a movie theater? 20, 30 years ago, I did it on a very regular basis. Now maybe I do it once a year. Maybe I'm unique, maybe I'm not, I don't know. But I personally go a lot less. I think that business model is kind of dying. With AI, the things that I can make with AI are unbelievable. You don't need these new studios anymore. It's all going to be generated on a computer, and then you're going to publish it and people are going to watch it. And that's going to take up the time that the people used to spend going to movie theaters.
Right, Slices. Well, thank you. Is there any questions? We got a question. So go ahead and start your questions.
Thank you, Drew.
Good seeing you again.
Good to see you too. Would you consider carrying a BDR to amend NRS 244.1505? In summary, that was passed in 1981 and it's been amended 5 times since. And that is a statute that enables counties to issue discretionary funds to nonprofit charitable uses in their respective districts. By way of illustration that's relevant to the previous candidates, in Washoe County, when I first began my engagement back in 2021, the Washoe County policy allocated $20,000 per commissioner per district. So that was $100,000 per year. For two years after that, that number jumped to $100,000. So in Washoe County, each commissioner is allowed per fiscal year to distribute $100,000 in their district as discretionary funds. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's $500,000 in Washoe County. And I would note that Commissioner, now Chair Clara Andriola, has not distributed any of her funds except for $30,000 back in 2023, I think it was, for the equine initiative. Mike Clark has distributed at least $40,000 to the Reno Toy Run, as well as to others. He's been distributing money. So Republicans claim that they're fiscal stewards, and yet they're distributing, Jeannie Herman included. So there's a lot of money that's bleeding out of Washoe County. This statute needs to be amended. What do you think about amending that to either limit, amount limit, to redefine the parameters, because it's become the USAID of Washoe County?
Number one disclosure, I've donated a lot of money to Toy Run over the years, personally. So there's that. As far as government accountability, I think that fits into the whole thing of government accountability. I don't believe government money, public money, should be going to any of these things like that. I don't think public money should be going to NGOs. I think the whole thing needs to be tightened down. I think the elected officials need to have a lot more control as a voice in a voting block. They go vote where to spend the money, and if the majority doesn't agree, it doesn't happen. So getting rid of these slush funds, I'm for. Anything that stops the corruption, anything that takes the money back into the public's hands, and so that we can reduce taxes with it, or we can implement some social things that are actually successful. Right now, I think that the whole CARES campus is a big money laundering scheme. I just see money going everywhere. I think that I'm just in my life running a business, I see so much waste and graft. And the Reno Police Department, for example, they're just creating a new tax ad hoc out of thin air that I discovered the other day.
Well, that wasn't what I asked. So, but with respect to CARES Campus, what's not talked about is that it's been enacted with policy and ordinance. And I don't hear anybody talking about what Washoe County collaboratively is doing with the sequential intercept model that was championed and pioneered by Judge Egan Walker. But that's separate and apart from what I specifically asked you. And I appreciate that you support charitable causes. But when my taxes go to Washoe County, which is by statute and by policy, And I reasonably expect that my taxes are going to be expended in Washoe County for the repair of roads and for essential services. And when there's a statute that enables a county commission, and now this is 17 counties that are doing this.
Yeah.
So, multiply that.
Needs to
So
stop.
I'm asking, would you be willing to carry a BDR to at least bring the conversation so that the citizenry is aware that their taxes are being redirected USAID style, especially here in Washoe County?
Well, as a freshman, you get 6 BDRs. I've already pretty much written all of them. So what I would have to do is look at how I could rewrite them to include that as part of the anti-corruption part that I'm looking at. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
So I've already written things. That's my challenge, is how do I fit them in there?
Drew, there seems to be a fair amount of Democrats that are running as Republicans throughout the country and in Nevada. How does that help your campaign and how does it hurt it?
Good, that's the way it.
How does it hurt? People are easily deceived. How does it hurt? Well, the governor's endorsed this person. So I mean, I really wonder about some of the people that are running the government, and I have always voted for the least evil, and I'm going to continue voting for the least evil. But part of what I'm trying to do up here is ferret these things out and highlight them to the public, because if the public knows, maybe they can make different decisions when they're voting, as opposed to what we've done in the past is be low information voters. And sometimes it's really uncomfortable to call that out. So how do I think it's good? Well, in my race, it's a 4-way race. And in the last 4-way race in this district, 1,709 votes won the race. In 2024, I got 1,745 votes. So I think if I can maintain my voter base and drive some more to vote for me, I should win this race pretty easily. So I think that's a good thing in that way. And I think I will drive a voter base because of my social media. People have done things because of what they've seen for me before. They've called the government. We don't have Jeff Scott anymore because of some of the stuff that I've put on social media. We've made changes in the Washoe County Library Board. He's hammering me to silence, so I'll shut up now.
Hi, Drew. Tammy Holtz-Dale, candidate for Washoe County District 5. You talked about BDRs that you've already done, and you also said you're for development. Have you had an opportunity to look at like 287, any of the developmental code? Because currently the way that the statute is written, the city of Reno has all of the authority compared to Washoe County, which goes against all of our civics class. And
We're a top down.
that needs to be addressed, along with our water sustainability, because in 2008, Washoe County residents voted for WC3, and it won by a majority that we be water sustainable. And currently, we already are tapped out of the Truckee River. They're pumping 15 million gallons in from Fish Springs, but they have violated the law on that too. So what do you think?
It's funny how the government and the people who work for the government violate the law a lot, isn't it? That's something I'd definitely be willing to work at. I don't know any of the specifics because that's not anything I've dug into. What I've been digging into with my friends that are builders are the fees and how those fees make everything a lot more expensive. So, but we mentioned water sustainability just a little while ago. I think that's a big issue that we need to solve the problem on. But I don't know the specifics to answer your question.
So seeing no more questions, go ahead. Oh yeah, we got 2 more.
Come on up, Sherry.
I just checked.
Don't be sorry.
To add to my resume, I am the Ladies of Liberty, but I'm also a paralegal CLA, and your predecessors, a lot of them have sat on the Judiciary Committee. And I'm wondering, just a simple yes or no, if you are willing to remove the word discretion away from all of the judges in the state of Nevada.
Yeah. Is that quick enough for you?
Hi, Drew. Penny Brock.
Hi, Penny.
So I deal in election integrity. I'm at most county commission meetings. So in November, the ROV McDonald, our new ROV, we've had 4 since 2021. He'd never managed an election before or people. Anyway, so he brought forth the contracts at the November 18th meeting for the county commissioners to approve the Dominion Liberty Vote machine, EVS, and the ballot marking devices. Ballot marking devices are new for this election. Problem with Dominion is they were bought the 1st of October by Liberty Vote. So I have, when we lived in Salt Lake, I worked for a defense contractor in the contracts department, so I was a little familiar with contracts. So I went to the NRS on contracts, and it said that an RFP, request for proposal, had to be solicited, required if, number one, the company was sold. Well, Dominion was sold to Liberty Vote. Number two, if the contract expired, which the Dominion contract expired December of 2025. So I did not have the information. Yes, I was just getting to. So I raised it at the commission about this solicitation of bids. I have verbally from the ROV and his department that they did not solicit the bids. It's required by law. So what would you do as a legislator to address that situation?
To address the way that they're doing the acquisitions of the equipment?
Right. What penalty should they be if they violate the contract law, which is required?
Well, that's the whole problem with government, is there is no consequences for most of those that are in government. They can break the law and get their pensions. I think that it's leading into, beyond election integrity. Although if we don't have any election integrity, then the whole system is flawed anyways. But if they're violating the law while they're, running an election or doing anything else, I think that we need to create some statutes where there is some accountability. And, you can take people's money, you can take people's time, you can take people's life. That's the power that the government has over us. What penalty is going to be judicious? What penalty would stop this from happening? I think those are the real questions. But I think that overall in government, we need to do a big overhaul in just accountability. And that's one of the BDRs I've got. So that would fit in with it.
So Drew, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask one more question, and then we're going to let Ray say anything he needs to say, and we're going to finish with you for the last words. My question came up by listening. It says, today, you're in the minority as a Republican here in Nevada. And I had 10 years ago, we had a majority. We had the Assembly, Senate, and the governor's office. 2 questions. What do you think happened? And then when you get elected, what does it mean to be a Republican leader in today's Nevada?
What do I think happened? I think we had a lot of illegal immigrants come in. I think we've been gerrymandered. I think that I think that the whole system kind of started failing. I've been talking to a man named Bill Horn. He's down in Carson City, and he does a lot of constitutional. You know what I'm talking about, Sherry, don't you? And he looks at what's happened to the Nevada Constitution over the years and how the legislature's been, it used to be there was a senator for every county, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you might know more about this than I do. I'm good, okay. But I look at the whole system and I think there's flaws in the whole system, and it's been gerrymandered and maneuvered and rigged to benefit a few to run the majority. So I think that we really need that. It all gets back into government accountability is really where all of this goes back to. And what was the rest of the question there?
What does it mean today to be a Republican in Nevada?
From my perspective, it means to call out the corruption when you see it and do something to get rid of the corruption, whether it's the Washoe County Libraries and the Drag Queen Story Time, or the fee that the Reno Police Department's trying to put on all the tows in the city of Reno now. raising the cost of towing by 10%, your insurance rates are going to go up. But city council never voted on it. Just a cop decided in his office one day we're going to do this. And there you go.
So you answered that question to Republican leaders. So that was the right way to answer it as a leader in the Republican Party.
You-
So we
you-
look forward to a good election, and Ray will finish up, and you'll have last comments.
Last comment, Bill, by the way, just put in his, to run for the Wahoe GOP Central Committee, Executive Committee. So you might consider him for voting at the end of this month. Second thing is, there's literature for the candidates, especially one of the ones I represent, Socorro Keenan for Secretary of State. You're welcome to pick up the literature. And next meeting is June 3rd, first Wednesday. And that'll be the two state treasurers and the debate with the three county commissioner number 5. By the way, the Reno Gazette was here and they wanted to cover the new, the county number 2 with Mike and John. John's still here. Thank you for coming. Ask
So
questions.
Drew will finish up with his last 2-minute closing. Drew's going to do a 2-minute closing, and then we'll all go eat more cake. Thank you.
Anyways, 2 minutes. I thank you for listening to me. And again, thank you for everybody that shows up to all these meetings consistently over the time. Thank you for doing what you guys do, because it's pretty much what I'm doing. You're just trying to make some kind of change to the problems that you see to make life better for yourselves and the families that you have and the people of Nevada. So on that note, thank you much.